I'm not really sure how I want to start this review, so I'll just say, show me your salami, motherfucker. 3 from Hell. Written and directed by Rob Zombie. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm quoting. Obviously, this movie. Richard Brake, Bill Moseley, Sheri Moon Zombie, they star in this, and it tells a story about the Firefly family escaping from prison with the help of their half-brother, and they flee to Mexico, and they cause all kinds of mayhem and carnage on the way there. This is a movie that I had already seen before last year around December when it came out to Redbox. It was actually at a theater near me, and I could have seen it, but I hadn't seen the first 2 yet. By the time I got them on DVD, it was too late to go to the theater, so that's why I didn't review this movie, because I didn't get to see it at the theater. By the time I got it at Redbox, it was way too late, but now I'm being paid to watch it and review it. This is a Patreon review, so that's why I'm doing it. I did House of a Thousand Corpses a couple months ago and Devil's Rejects last month. Now this month we're talking about 3 from Hell. So yeah, second viewing went down. Second viewing for House of a Thousand Corpses went up. Opposite. It's weird how that works. Second viewings are important. Remember that. So I think I already gave you a plot synopsis, so let's just jump right into this thing. I was struggling finding good things, and I try. I always do. I always like to give good things for every movie that I watch, but I was struggling this time because I was not into it. The second half of this movie is where it really falls off the rails, but let's try to talk about some of the good things here. Okay, so one thing I've noticed is that there's some consistency here with these 3 movies when it comes to like the feel, the tone, kind of, like it has the same style. It's all Rob Zombie style. It's got a lot of familiar faces. It's always got horror alumni in all the movies, and this one, it is stacked with horror alumni, like a whole list. And it's always people from other Rob Zombie movies. You got like Daniel Roebuck, you got Clint Howard, and you got Jeff Phillips, is that his name? Like the guy he was the guy who got his head stomped in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. He's like a bigger role in this one. There's so many people. I mean, it's hard to like list them all off very quickly. There's just so many people in this movie. I mean, even the main people are stars. You got Sid Haig, briefly. You got Rob Zombie's wife, of course. And then you got Bill Moseley. You got Richard Brake now as the new 3rd member. And he's basically Otis Jr., which is kind of a bad decision. I mean, that was great about, Captain Spaulding, Otis, and Baby, was that they were all kind of different from each other. They're all crazy, but they all have their own different like flavor of craziness. In this one, you got Richard Brake, and he's basically Otis Jr. So there wasn't too much difference between them. I feel like that was a misstep. They should have made a different, crazy person. Like if you're gonna replace Captain Spaulding, replace him with somebody better. I mean, I'm not saying like Richard Brake's terrible. He's actually a really good actor. He's good in this with what he's given, but having him be basically Otis Jr. was a misstep. He should have been given a much better role. It's kind of harder for me to like talk about positives without accidentally slipping into my negatives. But yeah, Richard Brake, I like him. I like him as an actor, and I like Otis in this movie. The character, he's still as fun and crazy as he is in the other 2 movies. So that's consistent as well. Otis is the best character in this movie by far for me. I mean, he's not the best, like I want to go have a beer with him best, but he's the best entertainment-wise. The shit that comes out of his mouth is funny. Here and there. There's not a whole lot of comedy in here. It tries a little too hard to be funny in some moments, and it doesn't really work, but there are some humorous moments that actually made me chuckle. Now let's get into the negatives. Because of what happened to Sid Haig, he was too sick, and I think he died during production, maybe it was right after. He's not in this movie a lot. They couldn't use him, so they killed his character off very quickly into the movie. So it's a bummer. So it's like, oh, now we're missing this character, and like I said before, they replace him with Richard Brake, who's a good actor, but he's basically Otis Jr., and that doesn't make for an interesting 3rd member. So that was a misstep. Now, once again, just like all Rob Zombie movies, it's the dialogue. There's a lot of fucks in here. Fuck, motherfuck. It's like gutter balls, but not to that level.
So imagine her titty sitting there and a group of men sitting around jacking off over him, jizz going everywhere. Maybe one of them
Tony,
sits down, he shits
do
on her.
something.
Now, I ain't into shitting on people, but maybe he's into shitting on her, and he shits all over another couple guys pissing on her, because that's the kind of thing people are
No,
into.
shoot him!
You
Shoot
do
him
things
now!
you don't normally do when they got a pair of titties like that.
Stop it. Stop it. All right, stop it. Like Tom Atkins at the end of Halloween 3. Stop it with this dialogue. It's just a lot of porno dialogue. They're even talking about porn at one point. Mr. Salami Man. Like, there's a lot of scenes in this movie that just feel thrown in. There's a lot of just padding the runtime and stuff with like Baby, especially her seeing the cat. Like, what the hell is that? That rhymes. Didn't mean to. Baby is annoying. Like, she was the best part of House of a Thousand Corpses to me. She was fine in Devil's Rejects, and now I can't stand her in this movie. I like that they at least address how different she is. Like, Otis even makes mention of it. Like, yeah, she seems different. And Richard Brake's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, trust me. There's something off. It's like, yeah, there is. She's annoying. She's mumbling. And she's doing this thing. Like, she's dialed to 11 and then dials the 11 to 11 again. So it's like 22. Like, she dials it all the way up. Like, bring that shit down. Like, why is she so fucking crazy in that prison that's ran by a bunch of old people and obese people who couldn't hold her back for shit if they wanted to? It's like, you got these people in charge? Like, this movie has you suspend disbelief from the beginning, but then they ask you, I mean, because they get shot 20 times and they say it, like, confirmed 20 times. And you even see, like, the scars, which is a little continuity. Like, I like that detail. I didn't see any scars on Baby, but maybe they were just hidden because she got all inked up all of a sudden. Like, now she's like all inked up. She's got tattoos everywhere. And then, yeah, like, it's asking you to suspend disbelief that they're even still alive somehow. Who the fuck was their doctor? Their surgeon, was it Dr. Satan? Maybe that's who helped them. But, like, so you have to suspend disbelief there. And then you have to suspend disbelief how, like, Otis breaks out, like, oh, now he's got a convenient half-brother that they never spoke about, and now he's just so awesome at killing all these guards and freeing him. And then you gotta suspend disbelief with this and that, and how they break Baby out, the writing there, how that's done, bullshit. And then the convenience of when they go to Mexico, who they bump into, who knows this person. It's like, what the fuck ever. It's just so lazy. The writing in this movie is the worst of the three. The acting is the worst of the three. And there's no, like, story focus. In the first one, it was basically like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They bump into a crazy family. They have to try to survive the night. There's your story. And then there's, like, some supernatural shit going on in this mine shaft or something. But whatever. And then the second one, you had this whole revenge plot that was introduced in the first, like, 10 minutes of the movie. Instantly, actually. And that's throughout the whole movie. There's a story there. They're on the run. You got vengeful cop here. And then in this movie, there's really no, like, central story from beginning to end. It it changes throughout. It's, Otis getting broken out, and then they're trying to find a way to free Baby, and then finally they free Baby, and now they're on the run. I mean, this is like an hour in. The first hour is Otis getting broken out, then Baby getting broken out, and then they're on the run for a little bit, very briefly, and then cut, they're in Mexico. Like, it was so easy to just drive to Mexico as the most wanted people in America, and they know that, I mean, where is this movie taking place? Isn't it near the border? Like, they would have people there looking for them, but whatever. Still, like, it's just asking you to suspend so much disbelief, and then finally you get to, like, the last hour, and now it's a lesser version of Devil's Rejects. It's a clone of Devil Rejects in the last act of the movie. It's a vengeful son of Danny Trejo. So you're just copying this movie over here, and you're not doing it anywhere near as good, and then the movie just turns into an action flick, and now Baby is Rambo. It's not even a horror movie in the third act of this movie. Like, there's no tension, there's no thrills. It's not a horror movie at all. Like, the first two actually kind of felt like horror movies from time to time, especially House of a Thousand Corpses. This one doesn't feel like a horror flick at all. It's just very vulgar, gritty, nasty, tries way too hard to be nasty with the naked prostitutes in Mexico and just the porn dialogue. It's just so over the top. And there's no likable characters in the movie to me. I don't care for anybody, and the people who are victims in this movie, they don't flesh them out at all, and they make the warden, played by Jeff Daniel Phillips, if that's his name. They make him a cheating asshole and a complete moron and just an over-the-top character, like a lot of them in this movie, where you don't sympathize with him and he makes stupid decisions, so you just want him dead, and then they just throw a random clown scene in here. Just random things thrown in for no reason. Who the fuck hires a clown to come to their house when you're middle-aged and you're just hanging out with your wife and your wife's friend and shit? Like, who does that? Why was that clown even there? It's the best scene in the movie, and I'm bitching about it. But it made no sense. Why was the clown there? Did they ever say it? Jesus Christ. So yeah, this movie has no reason to exist either. That's the final thing I'll say, besides also CGI, bad CGI bullets and CGI blood. Can't stand it. The CGI bullet holes in people. It's just, no. Stop it. Alright, so this movie has no reason to exist. It didn't come back to do anything new. It came back to just have them break out of jail in completely unrealistic ways. Doesn't even try to explain it or show it in a way that makes sense and is believable, and then it just tries to clone Devil's Rejects in the last act. So it just does nothing new. It's not very entertaining to me, and therefore I can't recommend it. So when it comes to 3 from Hell, to me, this movie was just wasted time. Now it's time for the spoiler discussion for those of you that are still watching and aren't pissed off at me for hating this movie so much. But I feel like the general consensus is that this is the weakest of the 3. So I don't think I'm alone on that. But I know it sounded like I was saying this movie's like dog shit. It's like, it's not dog shit, but it just doesn't need to be here. It doesn't need to exist. But anyways, let's get into the film. So the movie opens up and we see they're being patched up and they have 20 bullets each. They say that. And it's like, yeah, how the fuck are they still alive? I mean, they make 50 Cent look like a pussy. I mean, they got 20 bullets each. How much did 50 Cent get? 9? Pfft, nothing. They ain't. He's got nothing on Otis. So we got this like group of idiots that are like, free the 3, as if that would ever be a real thing. Like, I know people are idiots today still with their groups and their protests, but given all the evidence against this family and the whole house of literally like 1,000 corpses in it, right? I mean, come on. You're gonna sympathize with these people? Like, that group would never fucking exist. Like, are you kidding me? Free the 3, they all need to be shot 20 times. Those people. So then they kill Spaulding first. I mean, he was the least violent one of the 3. He gets put on death row and killed first. And the fact that his last words were, much love to my friends and family, like, pfft, Captain Spaulding, his last words would be, fuck you and fuck your sister and your mother. That's what his last words would be. And then Otis says, like, I'm Satan's destroyer. Does that mean he's destroying Satan, or he's a destroyer sent from Satan? Because in part 2, he said he was the devil. Now he's saying he works for the devil. And then later on in this movie, he says, motherfucker, I am Satan. So he's like all over the place. Like, oh, I work for Satan. No, I am Satan. No, I work for the devil. No, I am the devil. It's like, make up your fucking mind, Otis. And then half-brother Otis Jr. comes to save the day, and we don't really get to see how that all unfolded, unfortunately, because I don't think Rob Zombie could do that in a way that was believable, so it just hard cuts. He's free. How did he shoot all those guards and free him? Get the fuck out of here. And then somehow Danny Trejo's character didn't recognize Otis. He's like, you remember me from 10 years ago? It's like, no, should I? It's like, yeah, you should. Yeah, the fact that he didn't recognize him is a little unbelievable, but whatever. And so yeah, now we see Baby. She's all inked up. She's walking out. And this movie like treats them like superstars. Like, again and again, like the whole slow-mo thing and the music video type shit editing. It's got the same editing as like, you know, transitions and stuff as the first 2, kind of the whole like Sly thing. So like I said, like style-wise, it kind of feels and looks like the other 2, but it's overdone. The whole slow-mo thing and the songs, it's just padding the runtime. Like, she walks out, she's like a star, she's looking right at the camera, slow motion. It's like, stop it. All right. And then we got like Dee Wallace here, who's like the old guard, and she's like phoning in her performance. Like, there's moments where it's okay, but then there's moments where you can tell like she's not in it, and I don't blame her. And then there's just this random ass couple hunting in the woods that find Richard Brake and Otis, and it's just a random scene that doesn't need to be here. But I like that we get to see someone get their face skinned. That's another little thing carried from parts 1 and 2. That's something that Otis does. That's like his signature. So we get to see that. Cool. But does it? It just feels like a random scene. It's kind of silly. It's dumb. Like, you find this serial killer in the woods and you're not going to like pull the trigger right away and kill him. And then we see a parole hearings. Like, she's on death row and she's getting parole hearings. Like, she's 10 years into her death row sentence and she's getting parole hearings. Like, maybe you can come out into the real world again if you're a good girl. It's like, fuck that. She's on death row. Is that even a real thing? If so, just goes to show how messed up our prison system is, that the crazy people can just walk free at some point. So she pisses off Dee Wallace, and then she gets brought into the basement of the jail, and she is thrown into a cage with these two manly women, some of the manliest looking women I've ever seen. And then it just cuts back and forth between all these shots. It's chaotic. It's all this choppy editing. It's supposed to make you think that Baby's getting shanked, but you know that's not happening. And when it cuts back, she somehow, even though she was handcuffed, I thought she's not handcuffed anymore, and she's only got one scratch on her forehead that she gets stitches for, and then it's gone for the rest of the movie. When she gets broken out throughout the second half of the film, she doesn't have a scar, no scab, no stitches throughout the rest of the movie, so that continuity was not there. I did not see it, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see it. But yeah, it's really, I'm supposed to believe that she won in that situation? Bullshit. And it was just bad editing, how that was thrown together. I couldn't see what the hell was going on. And then the movie turns into a home invasion flick, and the clown comes by. It's trying to be funny, but it doesn't really come off that way. It's just kind of odd. They could have really made that scene more funny. And he's like, oh, I don't want to see food die. When I see food, I eat it. My mom told me that joke. And then he pisses himself, makes Otis laugh. He's like, I'll let you go. Straight to clown heaven. Poof, blows his head off. And then we see that stupid little dream sequence, if it is a dream hallucination of a ballerina cat. What the fuck is up with that? Then the warden is forced to go and free Baby. And he's given a note, and he goes there. We quickly find out that he's cheating on his wife, so it's why are you even doing this then? If you don't give a shit about your wife, and you're just some, egotistical, self-loving asshole who's got a giant oil painting of just himself in his house, why are you doing this at all? The fact that he goes there, and you think he's doing it to save his wife, which he's not, because he's cheating on her, he doesn't love her, but the fact that he goes there and actually does what they tell him is stupid. And the fact that he does that and doesn't even have a backup plan, he doesn't tell the cops in secret and have a SWAT team follow him home to kill them, is moronic. It's asking too much. Seriously, he would have a SWAT team go to his house. I mean, you really think that if you bring Baby to your house, they're just going to let you and your wife go? Really? The people with the house of 1,000 fucking corpses are going to let you live? You're stupid, and you deserve to die with that CGI bullet in your fucking brain. It's just, it's idiotic. And then why throw in that whole, cheating, thing in there? It's dumb. Oh, so he's cheating on his wife? Then why is he going out of his way to try to save her if he doesn't love her at all? Whatever. It's bring a SWAT team home. If your wife dies because of that, oh well, but at least the killers are now dead and they can't hurt anyone else. So it's just a ridiculous part of the movie. Then yeah, he shoots his own wife too in that whole scene after he brings Baby there. He accidentally shoots his own wife. It's oh god, can we kill this guy now? And then the one chick gets chased outside and she's stabbed in the middle of the street in the middle of the day, and just got this chick on oxygen waving. And then they somehow outrun the cops. I think you hear the sirens and they just drive off. They're okay. They successfully get away, and then they successfully drive all the way to Mexico, but not before killing Sean Wallen at the soda machine. Baby's just killing people left and right for no reason. They snuck into Mexico in the clown's van, so it's a stolen van from someone who the cops know they killed. Because you have to keep in mind that it wasn't like overnight they got to Mexico. Like they had to drive for a while, I'm assuming, for days on the road with this stolen vehicle, and they already found the bodies like that night and reported it on the news. Their faces are everywhere, and they just snuck into Mexico in a stolen vehicle from someone who that they killed, and the cops know they killed, so they would be like, that clown, who is this guy? Oh, his car's missing. What's his plates? They would get that information, right? Like, it's just so silly. So once again to Mexico, now the movie turns into a revenge movie. We see this guy who's like the leader of some satanic cult thing, where they wear like wrestling masks or whatever they call themselves, the Black Satanics or something stupid. And they just bump into the one guy in Mexico who knows him and has this number on speed dial and calls him up and it's like, oh, look who just showed up to my shitty hotel where we have three-legged dogs running around and ugly prostitutes with the largest areolas ever, and this little guy with an eye patch who speaks Spanish only here and then can speak English here. Like, he speaks English fine when he's talking to Baby, and they're having like this cute little moment together. They're bonding so that we understand why he's saving them later on. And then when he goes to warn Otis, he doesn't even speak English no more. He runs into the room, he's panicking, he's like, andale, andale, he's saying shit in Spanish, and then the prostitute's like, oh, he's saying this, and it's like, you just spoke English to Baby for minutes on end, just having a whole conversation with her, fine, speaking English. And now, when you're trying to warn Otis, suddenly you don't know a single word of English. I like that we get a little moment where they actually start kind of grieving over the death of like Tiny, and I think Tiny, right? He's dead, because they say like, we're the only two left or something like that. But they're actually like grieving over Spalding and shit. They bring it up, so I like that. They could have had a little bit more of that, but whatever. At least it's in here. And then we get more slow-mo walks and music montages in here. Very Rob Zombie. Like, they're rock stars, and it's like, they're not rock stars. Like, this movie acts like they're the heroes of the movie, and they really are. Like, they get treated like that. Like, this group that comes in later to kill them, they're the bad guys. It's like, no, these people are shitheads too. The Firefly family, I want them dead too, because they're assholes. So it's like, you're not rooting for anybody in this movie. So it's like, whatever happens, you're like, whatever, somebody die, somebody. Because they're all pieces of shits, every single one of them. And it just turns into an action flick. Now, Baby's Rambo, she's got a bow and arrow, she's very accurate because it's convenient. And I mean, I doubt she's ever used a bow and arrow once in her life, and now she's picking up one, and she's fucking John Rambo all of a sudden. And then we get like a machete duel fight, the typical thing in action movies where they throw their guns down, like, no guns, blades only. It's just so dumb. And so yeah, then the little guy, he like cuts their ropes, and then they get free, they kill them all, easy peasy. They throw the guy in a coffin. They look him in the eye. They're like, wait for it. He's about to break. And he breaks. And they're like, oh, there's the look. Very funny. And then they burn his ass alive, which was pretty brutal. But another, like, action movie trope in here is the whole, like, hesitation thing. Like, they want to kill them, but then every time they finally have, like, the upper hand and they have them at gunpoint and they can just pull the trigger and kill them, they just want to have, like, this, like, moment where they kind of like rub it in, like a monologue, like, haha, like, you couldn't get away from me. And then they just give enough time for someone to like intervene and save that person. It's like, just fucking pull the trigger already. You burst through the door and was shooting up prostitutes like it was nothing, and shooting at Otis, and now you finally have him at gunpoint, and you're not going to pull the trigger right away. You want to like have some little fucking like James Bond speech right now. It's like, shut the fuck up and just pull the trigger. That one prostitute deserved the bullet to the back of the head. Like, the way she was acting, like she knew this guy. Well, obviously not, because the way you were talking to him, nah. It's like, oh, I know you, I recognize your voice, like, I ain't afraid of you, pff, bitch. And then like turns her back on him and starts walking away, gets shot right in the back of the head. It's like, yeah, you deserve it. Like, you turn your back on that guy after saying that to him, you were expecting him to just blow your brains out? I mean, you're an idiot, so whatever. No. I like the moment when the guy rats them out, gets shot in the car, like with a machine gun, just blown away. I thought that was kind of funny.
rest.
And yeah, then they just walk away victorious, and the three-legged dog follows them off into the sunset. The end. And it basically copy and pastes the end of Devil's Rejects here. The end credits play over the highway, all the aerial shots and stuff, which was a little callback to Devil's Rejects, I guess. So yeah, that's the end of the movie. The Hanky Award for worst character in this movie, it's kind of tough because Baby was a close second. But the Warden, I hated his character, over the top. He just looks stupid. This movie looks like it's the 70s still, even though it's 10 years later in the 80s. But yeah, it still has like a 70s feel and vibe to it, which is odd. I didn't talk about that earlier, but I just thought about that. Yeah, this movie still feels kind of late 70s-ish. The clothing, the style, but it's supposed to be like 88 now, which it doesn't look like it to me. So yeah, and then the Hockey Mask Award for best character in this movie is Otis, because he's got the best lines, and that's really all the reason. is he's got the best lines. And the Clap Award for best scene in this movie, the one that made me laugh, is the clown scene. It makes no sense why he's there. Who the fuck called him? They're adults. Nobody hires clowns at that age. But it's funny, alright? Send him to clown heaven already. And those are my thoughts on 3 from Hell. Put all your thoughts of it in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like what you've seen, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.